Welcome to Football Letter Live. Tonight we welcome Letterman cornerback Stefan Morris, whose Penn State teams won a combined 35 games in 4 seasons, including a victory in the Capital One Bowl. Also, to get us ready for homecoming weekend, we welcome from the Alumni Blue Band Association, President Randy Seeley and former drum major Tom Roberts. The Alumni Blue Band will perform at our Ice Cream Social tomorrow afternoon and on the field Saturday before the game and at halftime. Football Letter Live is member supported, and we're so grateful to have your support. If you're a Penn Stater, you belong in the Alumni Association. And if you love Penn State, you're in the right place. This is Football Letter Live. Well, happy homecoming, everyone, and welcome to Football Letter Live. We have a great show lined up for you. Randy Seeley and Tom Roberts are here from the Alumni Blue Band Association. Stefan Morris, Letterman cornerback who played for the 2012 team, which held Penn State football together, is here with us, and we look forward to talking to them. But before that, let's bring on our co-host, as always, With us, John Petishnock. John, how are you today?
Paul, I'm doing great. We've got a great show tonight. The homecoming weekend is upon us. We know how much fun that is, not only for us selfishly, because we get to see the alumni come back to Penn State and see how much fun they have. Ice Cream Social tomorrow, Guard the Line Shrine, of course, the homecoming parade with all of our affiliate groups and chapters. And so, yeah, homecoming week, it's easy to be in a good mood and happy. Lots of reasons to look forward to this weekend.
Absolutely. I think we're going to observe the 24-hour rule that Coach Franklin has and maybe just look forward to the Minnesota game after our setback in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, speaking of Ann Arbor, Paul, you and I were there in 2016. We knew what that was like. We knew what it felt like coming back to State College after that game, and we all remember how that season ended. And so, and James pointed that out this week when asked about kind of like how does the team respond and kind of like the mood of the team. And you see here we've got on screen, these are photos from spending our time spent with our chapter volunteers in Michigan, from the Friday night welcome event and from the Roar Tour. And we hope to see you on the road at Indiana and Rutgers. But yeah, look, it's one game, still 5-1, everything ahead of us. We said in the letter this week that for all intents and purposes, Penn State still controls its own destiny. You feel like if the Nittany Lions win out, there's a better than average chance that they're going to be playing in Indianapolis. Of course, a lot has to happen before we get to that point, but certainly, look, if you're going to get a bump in the road, it's better to have it middle of October. But certainly you get a win on Saturday against Minnesota, homecoming whiteout. I think that sets things up nicely for the Ohio State kickoff next week.
Nothing better cures a loss than coming home and getting a big win on homecoming in a whiteout in the Generations of Greatness game, right? A lot of things going on this weekend. We're going to honor the 2012 team. We have a member of that team with us on Football Letter Live tonight. But so many great things going on during homecoming weekend. And we just look forward to welcoming Penn Staters back as some of them make their annual pilgrimage back to Happy Valley to celebrate our Nittany Lion heritage for homecoming. As John mentioned, Ice Cream Socials 1 to 3 tomorrow. Guard the Lion Shrine after the parade. There's a great event happening Sunday morning at 10 if you're up early after a late night in Beaver Stadium. John Black's going to be on a panel discussion with the Belisario College of Communications about the Penn State football beat. For those of you who love John Black, you're going to be in town, you're going to want to check that out. But John, a lot of things that we're excited about here at the Alumni Association.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to keep everyone updated here in the chat as the show, as we go along, talking with Randy and Tom and Steph. We'll be throwing the links in so that you can attend these events if you're coming back to State College and Penn State for homecoming. If not, you can check out our on-site coverage. So we'll be live streaming the homecoming parade. We're also going to be having coverage from Guard the Line Shrine, the Ice Cream Social. The guy you're seeing on the screen right now, Randy Seeley, he and the Alumni Blue Band will be in the house tomorrow and be performing on the field. And so we'll be having that information in the chat as we go along with the show. Also, make sure that you're following us on social, because that's going to be your go-to place for all of the information. So if you can come back to Happy Valley, great. But if not, you will still be able to get involved and participate and share memories and let folks know why you love Penn State. And so certainly we're the Alumni Association. We're your gateway portal to Penn State, and it's certainly on homecoming weekend. And so look no further than our social channels and our website, and we'll make sure that you're taken care of this weekend.
Hey, John, not officially part of homecoming, but an event that's coming up the Monday following homecoming is the Together We Are event. It's primarily a student-focused event, but we're trying to activate alumni to send messages of support to our students here, right? It's about the midway point of the semester. The students are going to want to hear words of encouragement. And so we are asking alumni to participate in our Together We Are campaign. John, if you could drop the link in the comments and direct people how they can participate in that. Basically, we want alumni to finish the sentence. Together we are, insert your thoughts after that. We're going to share those messages with our students here on campus the Monday after homecoming. And so we'd love to get as many people participating in that campaign to send words of encouragement to Penn State students here.
Yeah, absolutely. Info is in the chat now. Everyone is encouraged to participate. We're looking forward to seeing what those answers are. I have a feeling we'll be sharing those on social and maybe some other channels after the event. But really, if you get your comments in before Monday, there's a good chance, or we're hopefully going to include as many comments on site as possible. Monday night, and we'll also be there on site, just kind of sharing the energy, the enthusiasm of the night. I think it's a really good way to cap homecoming weekend, because we're going to see everything on display this weekend, and then we'll share those memories Monday night. And so certainly info's in the chat. We'll keep folks updated over the weekend. And so homecoming weekend maybe officially ends Sunday, but there's a lot more coming your way Monday. So, make sure you stay tuned, and certainly feel free to share this information with your Penn State network.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we have 3 guests waiting in the wings. Let's get to them. First, Randy Seeley. He's the president of the Alumni Blue Band Association. He's a 1991 graduate, a wife, his father, children, all Penn State grads and life members of the Alumni Association. Welcome, Randy Seeley. How are you doing tonight?
Fantastic, Paul. Great to be here, and happy homecoming to you.
It's good to have you back on Football Letter Live. Also with us, Tom Roberts. He was the drum major. He's a 1994 grad, a social entrepreneur, doing some great things out there in Sharon and for the Shenango campus. Welcome to Football Letter Live, Tom Roberts.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the offer.
Absolutely. Good to dive into what it looks like for the Alumni Blue Band who comes back and participates on homecoming. On Saturday, you'll be performing under the lights before kickoff and at halftime in prime time with the packed crowd for the whiteout. How does the Alumni Blue Band practice and rehearse and get ready for that big weekend?
Well, this isn't our first whiteout, Paul. We've done these before. If you go back to 2013, the whiteout game, the Blue Band was there in the north end zone when in the 4th overtime we were able to put that game away. So this isn't our first one. But Tom, you run a lot more of the practice than I do, and you're responsible for a lot more of that. Why don't you talk about the practice schedule and those kind of things, and how this one's different from some of the others?
Sure. Basically, we get one practice as the Alumni Band, and it's the day of. And there's so much logistics that happen between the current band and the Alumni Band. But the Alumni Band shows up at Haluba Hall this year. It's at about 11:30 in the morning. And we have, 350 roughly, instrumentalists and band front that'll show up at 11:30. We'll get one or two cracks at running the show and running the music. And then the current band rolls in. We rehearse the one combined piece that we do together, and then we're done. I mean, we do one rehearsal for just a couple hours, and the supply chain and logistics of all the borrowing of instruments and collection and music charts, all of that, it's all driven by a team of volunteers with the Alumni Blue Band and then the current Blue Band staff. And it really is magic that it all comes together. We have so much fun on the field. And I would pose this question to Steph: what would it be like for him if he and the class of 2012, like that team, got to come back and do a scrimmage in Beaver Stadium in front of 110,000 people? That's what we get to do. We do this one day a year. Half the people haven't picked up their horns since last homecoming. And we just have a blast. It really is amazing.
Respectfully, Tom, I think it's a little bit of a different scenario. I think there'd be a lot more injuries if we got that 2012 team back out on the field for scrimmage. I know Stefan will want to comment on that. But let's talk about a couple different things. One, what I hear you saying is it's like riding a bike, right? Once you get the practice and you get the muscle memory back, that it's just easy to pick up playing the fight song, marching in the stadium, and that it's really run on adrenaline.
Yeah, most of us still don't use our music for the fight songs, for the alma mater. I mean, we've been playing them, in my case, 41 years, I guess, now that I've been playing the fight song as I march down the field. So, we have that song pretty well memorized, and we may not pick up our feet as well as the current band does, but we put an effort in there. So but it's a lot of fun. As Tommy said, there's nothing like sitting in the stands with your people that we've known. In my case, I've known Tommy for 30 plus years, playing the fight songs that we love, sitting there cheering the team. We look forward to this every single year.
Tom, does it ever get old? Like, do you ever have the feeling like, oh, I've been here before and done this, or does every time feel like the first time in terms of the energy and the feelings that it evokes?
So what I would say is Beaver Stadium is always like coming home, and there's nothing like walking out and marching on that field with your family, and it never gets old. We line up in that north end zone, and we keep everybody back because the visiting team's kicking field goals and practicing, and then we get the signal from Greg, the director, Dr. Drain, and we get to run out on the Beaver Stadium, and that exhilaration, the same feel that you had when you were an undergrad, is still there. Only now you don't have all the uniform, and you can have a little bit more freedom and fun with it. But man, you hear the tap, 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 up, 2, 3, 4, boom! It's muscle memory, and the crowd is always responsive. We love the crowd, and they love. They look down. Oh, the tube is out of step. It doesn't matter. We're alums. We have fun, and then to connect with the current students and know, like, what rank spot were you? Oh, I was D2. Well, I was D2. You marched the exact same steps, literally, as them, decades apart. That's just really cool.
Absolutely. Hey, Randy, as the president of the Blue Band Association, how does the Alumni Blue Band leverage homecoming to raise awareness and interest in your organization?
Well, that's a great question. And obviously this is our biggest event. As Tom said, we have 351 people signed up for this year. But it's not the only event that we do, but it's actually a fundraiser for us. We raise a lot of money for the Blue Band Legacy Fund as a result of homecoming. We have our website up there. We have a lot of emails, as Tom mentioned, our volunteers that run this. Mark and Carol Pablet, you know them, Paul. Do a fantastic job and have done this. This is, I think, their 8th year running homecoming. They're amazing, the amount of work that they put in. But the emails, the use of our social media, all of the different ways that we can communicate to keep people informed. But like I said, this isn't the only event that we do. In the summer, we have a golf tournament now. We've done this year was our 4th for the Blue Band Golf Tournament, which is we raise money again for the Blue Band Legacy Fund. And if anybody's interested, next year it'll be June 17th. We do a virtual 5K, which in the 3 years that we've done the virtual 5K, I think the dollars are still out for this year, but I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 that we've been able to contribute to the Legacy Fund through the virtual 5K in just 3 years. So there are a lot of different things that we do, but homecoming is obviously the biggest thing for our association, and it's what keeps us all in touch. We do a lot of other performances, as you know, as well. I mean, we were at Knoebels Grove for the Penn State Day there. We did at the York Revolution. We had a Penn State Day down here in York. We performed for the commemoration of the 2020 graduating class this spring in the Jordan Center. So we have little pep bands that get together for for a lot of different events. But the big thing, of course, that we have every year is homecoming, the ice cream social, and the parade, and then, of course, being on the field on Saturday.
Absolutely. Just a reminder to those of you who are tuning in, 1 to 3 o'clock tomorrow at the Hintz Family Alumni Center is the ice cream social. You can see video up on the screen right now from a portion of the Blue Band that's going to be marching on Saturday, coming out and entertaining the crowds. Over 800 people signed up for the ice cream social. We look forward to seeing everybody there tomorrow. Now, earlier this week when we were talking with you all, you pointed out that it's the 50th anniversary of Touch of Blue, which are the majorettes. What role do the majorettes play with the band, and how important is that role? First of all, shout out to Lori Uhazy, who I know may be tuning in here, one of the iconic members of that group.
Yeah, when we talk about the pageantry of the band, the majorettes really add a lot of that pageantry. The visual that they provide on the field is fantastic, and I'm frankly in awe of their ability to take a baton and the things, the way that they can twirl it. This year, the 50th anniversary, we have, I think the number was 34 members of the Touch of Blue coming back to participate in homecoming this year, which is fantastic. And on the Blue Band official Facebook page, just the other day, they shared that since 2002, when they first started competing, this group has won 9 national championships, which is, that's almost up to wrestling standards right there. I mean, 9 national championships in the last 20 years. that's an amazing feat. So we're very proud of the majorettes and very happy that they're a part of our program. Tom, you spend more time with the majorettes than obviously those of us in the band do. Maybe you can add to that.
Yeah, one of the things one of the people that I know that's done work with band fronts for years. I mean, one of the loudest instruments on the field is actually not even an instrument. It's a baton twirler or a flag. I mean, you can sit in the top row of Beaver Stadium, and if 10 flags go right and one goes left, but meanwhile, if you're playing clarinet and you miss a note, nobody knows, right? So it really is amazing the amount of work and dedication and the physicality that the band front puts into the baton twirling, all the choreography, the dedication of the staff, both the entire band front, that visual piece of both, the majorettes, the color guard, and then the feature twirler. Really, Penn State is world class, and people compete from literally all over the world to make it into that, not only that band, but into that band front, and to be a part of something that's really special. So to celebrate 50 years of that, I can't wait to see the women that are coming back. Great, strong women that just really have not only set a tradition, but it continues to elevate and get better.
Yeah, I was corrected there. 32 touch of blue and 4 features, so 36 total twirlers on the field. Four feature twirlers and 32 touch of blue are registered.
While you're talking about numbers, Randy, there's some numbers I want to throw by you here, and if you could talk about 61 members of the Alumni Blue Band performing this weekend for the first time during homecoming, including 25 Penn Staters from the most recent class. What advice have you shared with them leading up to the game?
They need to share advice with us, Paul. They're the ones that are more fresh. They'll be coming into this, other than the information that we share in our social media and share with the emails and things like that. Their only experience marching with the alumni is when they were wearing the uniform and performed together. As Tom talked about earlier, that's the only experience that they have with alums, and us, of course, yelling at them that they need to pick their feet up higher, which is, a tradition. So, it's great that we get to see all of the new faces, and it's not just new faces. I mean, we have, I think, the oldest alum that's signed up to participate in homecoming this year is from the class of 1960. So we cover a lot of decades. But the fact that there are so many first timers this year. Now, obviously, COVID set us back. We missed a year, and we had a small year the year after that, so we had a reduced size. So that may be why we see so many first timers this year. But it's really encouraging that so many people are choosing to become involved.
Now, Tom, how about for you, a piece of advice, right? You've done a fair amount of flipping in your day in Beaver Stadium. One, are we going to see a flip out of you this weekend? And two, what advice do you have for the current drum major on his flip?
So you will not see a flip on Saturday. I had dreams of doing it. My orthopedic surgeon said, yeah, probably not. I wouldn't recommend it. But last year I had a front row seat with Keith. And Keith last year, his first flip in Beaver Stadium was as an alum at homecoming, because he was the senior drum major during COVID. I had a magical view last year watching him. Keith Griffith, you can see him there on screen conducting right now. I'm in the background. My advice to any drum major is have fun, be in the moment, and serve the band. That's it. The flip is the most visible thing that Beaver Stadium sees, but that position really has such an opportunity to serve the band. It really is, you kind of go into a zone, and you just have one job to do: strut down that field and really put that exclamation point on what this amazing band is doing coming out of the tunnel. And that, to me, that's the magic point. Have fun, serve the band, put the exclamation point on it for Beaver Stadium.
Now, I know the two of you are big Penn State football fans, so let's end with a fun question. What is your prediction for the game on Saturday? Randy, you go first.
Okay. I'm going to compare this to 2016 when we didn't do so well against Michigan, but then with Minnesota that year, if you remember, we won that game and went on to have a magical year. So I'm going to go with that this is the game that we turn the corner and great things happen for the rest of the season.
Excellent. How about you, Tom?
My vote is a victory. one guarantee: the band will win.
We always do.
The band is undefeated throughout their history. Pick up the beat and clap and sing along to Fight on State with the Alumni Blue Band Association this weekend. Tom and Randy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much,
Paul.
Paul.
Appreciate being here.
All right, we're going to welcome John Petishnock back out of the studio. Special thanks to John tonight. He's pulling double duty as co-host and producer, as our regular producer Vince Langaro is out for personal reasons, and just want Vince to know that he's in our thoughts as him and his family are going through a tough time. So shout out to Vince and the rest of the Langaro family back in Michigan. John, I knew the answer to the question before I asked it, but you could just tell, like, it never gets old marching through that tunnel, performing at Beaver Stadium, and now this year for what I think is the second or third time in front of a whiteout homecoming crowd.
Yeah, I was driving around on campus the other day, and the current Blue Band students, they're out on the field practicing. I think it was raining a little bit. Like, there is so much dedication and passion that goes into what happens on game day for them. You have to want it. You have to want it to be in the Blue Band. And when you have that passion, it doesn't go away just because you graduate. I mean, we know this at the Alumni Association. And so seeing them perform on the field before the game, after the game, it's such a thrill. I mean, as much fun as they have doing it. We have so much fun watching them. Certainly at the Ice Cream Social tomorrow, we showed some video of last year's performances from them. We were able to spend some time talking last year with Keith, and I know that he appreciated the opportunity to be here and conduct the band at the Ice Cream Social, and then of course at the homecoming. And yet, look, we have a lot of affiliate groups where we're fortunate in that way. The Alumni Blue Band is, we don't play favorites, but it's always great to see them get to be back on the field, because as Tom said, it's one day a year. And so, rain or shine, they are going to be there, and, just look forward to cheering them on Saturday.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of somebody who was really fun to watch, we have Stefan Morris here with us tonight.
Yeah, so let's bring Stefan to the show. You heard him mentioned earlier, and we're going to bring him on now. Letterman cornerback, number 12 from 2009 to 2012, played for Penn State during a critical time, a pivotal time to say the least. Penn State won 35 games in 4 seasons. Steph was named to the Big Ten freshman team. Also won the Jim O'Hara Award as the team's most improved defensive player in 2012 as a senior. Really an outstanding career at Penn State, about 150 tackles, 18 pass breakups, 2.5 sacks, an interception, a fumble recovery. And when we were doing our research, we were going back through Football Letter photos. Steph, you were a ferocious tackler. Like, we had so many photos of you, and we're going to share some of those on the screen while we're talking. Currently, he's an account manager at Cigna. Steph, we are thrilled to have you on Football Letter Live. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Paul, John, I'm doing fantastic. I'm feeling even better, the fact that you guys got me on your show.
Well, that's great. We're thrilled to have you. We were talking a little bit earlier in the week, when you were being recruited by Larry Johnson Sr., what was your biggest takeaway about Penn State and Coach Johnson's recruiting message?
Coach Johnson is one of a kind, definitely. He was different from any other coaches that, I came encounter with. Coach LJ took the time to not only, of course, recruit me and, talk about, the rich tradition, why I should come to Penn State, but he also took the time to come to my house. And when he came to my house, it wasn't just, pitching me as to why I should come to Penn State. He started praying, with me and my family. And that was different. He took out the Bible. He prayed with us on my decision. And ever since then, I just knew, in my heart that, I wanted to become, a Penn Stater. I wanted to play with the late, great Coach Paterno. I wanted to play with, one of the greatest defensive line coaches of all time, and Larry Johnson. I just knew from right there. And it also helped, too, that the fact that Derek Williams was the number 1 recruit 4 years before me, and he went to my high school. So that kind of sold it as well.
That's awesome. Well, Steph, we have dug in the archives, and we have some of your highlights to put up. We're showing these highlights. What's going through your mind when you see these plays, and can you take us through some of them? And before we even get to that, John talked about you being a ferocious tackler. How many games would you have been ejected from if these rules that are in place now were in place when you played?
I don't think I would have been ejected with the targeting. I thought, Tom Bradley and Larry Johnson, Coach Paterno always did a great job in teaching us the fundamentals. As far as ferocious tackling, that's just a Penn State thing. That's what we're about. Defense first, of course. But I don't think I would have got ejected. I'm a cornerback. I was 5'9". I'm not hitting anyone in the head. I was trying to go low anyway.
In the history of everyone who's ever been ejected, though, no one thought they should have been ejected.
The game has changed. It has definitely changed. I can, name a few players on, my tenure at Penn State who probably, would have missed the rest of the game or missed the next game, to say the least. But it's a complete different game now. And I think we all know, where the game is going and how it used to be played and things that we once upon a time can get away with and things that we, that's being taught now that, was blasphemous back then. So,
Steph, on the screen, we have a highlight of your interception. So I want to point out here, you intercept the ball at the goal line, maybe the 1 yard line. At which point were you thinking 100-yard interception return?
The minute I caught the ball. Seriously, the minute I caught the ball. I still kick myself to this day, the fact that I got caught. And if you really go back and look at this film, if I would have just stayed to the left, it would have been a 100-yard touchdown. But I decided to, do the most, and I don't know. I still kick myself about every day.
But that's a big time play as a freshman, Steph. It's hard to return an interception 70 yards and not get a touchdown. I mean, that's just as impressive as a lot of other picks.
Yeah, it is. But if you ever get a chance to go back and watch that same play, if you just look to the left side, it was wide open.
All right. Well, let's do that. And then as you're watching this, Steph, can you take us and the audience tuning in kind of, maybe what you remember about the plays or just about your career that put you in position to make these plays?
I would say my first time on campus, we had a workout, and the person who was training me was our captain, Sean Lee. And that was probably the best thing that probably could have happened to me, because not only did he put me through a gruesome workout, but, I just kind of stuck to him the remainder of my freshman year, the way he watched film, the way he conducted himself on and off the field, the way he just watched film for hours, the way he practiced. And, being around Sean Lee, and Navarro Bowman's, Jared Aldrick, A.J. Wallace, and I'm just naming guys on defense. I haven't even got to offense yet. Just being around them, the Danton Lands, who I see on this clip right here, it made me grow up fast because they needed me to play, but it helped me tremendously in my 4 years at Penn State. I haven't watched these tapes in a while, so it brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories.
So you mentioned playing for Coach Paterno. What are some of the life lessons that you learned at Penn State that you carry with you today?
I think the main thing is, success with honor. Cliche, but it's true. Coming in as a freshman and even as a sophomore, junior, senior, my entire time at Penn State, I never understood why, we had to be clean shaved, why we had to wear suits to, away games as well as home games, just some of the small things that, us recruits question, or us guys that was on the team just question, until, my time after Penn State. And just going back to success with honor, it helped me, be prepared for, the real world, helped me be prepared for an interview. Everything. I mean, Coach Paterno, he did a phenomenal job, not just, with myself, but the entire, team. We were all, I would say, definitely, a part of his family. And, I have nothing but phenomenal things to say about Coach Paterno. I love him dearly. He done a lot for me, especially as an African-American man. And it just goes back to show just about the small things. I think that's why, you put him on, the Mount Rushmores of coaches, because it wasn't just about football for him. It was about, life after football, as far as why, getting a Penn State education, a degree was important. Why, him checking classes sometimes, why being in class and being in front and being attentive in class, why all those things matter. And it's not one Letterman, that I know that played under Coach Paterno who isn't successful. And that, that says a lot.
You talk about, Steph, lessons from Joe and Larry Johnson Sr. coming to your house and praying with you. How much did that impact, you coming to Penn State? Because you were saying, I'm going to get the full student athlete experience. This is going to be the most transformative 4 years of my life. I mean, I know we're kind of talking about it now, but I'm just wondering if you can expand on that a little bit and wonder, just how big of a role did it have in your life, especially being a young man coming to college?
Yeah, I mean, being from, the Washington, D.C. area, a lot of kids like myself, we don't see much. So, having an opportunity, even though it's 3.5 hours away, but having an opportunity to, come to State College, Pennsylvania, and be in the presence of a lot of greats. We speak about Coach Paterno, Larry Johnson, but there's a lot of great other leaders like Tom Bradley, Vanderlyn, a lot of guys like Sean Lee, Daryl Clark, and, just being around just greatness every day, you have no choice not to be great, whether that's on the field or off the field. And we were challenged every day, to be the best version of ourselves. To your question, being a recruit and why choosing Penn State, I mean, it was easy. I'm playing for, under Coach Paterno. I mean, at that point in time, we had just lost in the Rose Bowl to USC, who was ranked in the top 10. I got one of the greatest coaches of all time, not in Coach Paterno, but also in Larry Johnson recruiting me. It's a good team that's coming back. It's a lot of people that, I knew that was in that recruiting class, as far as, Malcolm Willis, Stephen O'Bing, Jordan Hill, Gary Gilliam, John Urshel, a lot of guys, Justin Brown, even though, we know that situation. But we had a very strong recruiting class to the point where, we pretty much taught every day. And, it just made my decision even more easier to choose Penn State.
So you talked about people and the relationships that you have with people that really defined your time at Penn State. You've mentioned Coach Johnson, Coach Paterno. You've mentioned some of your teammates. But a couple of weeks ago, your name came up in a conversation with Jordan Smith and Spider Caldwell. What do you remember about Spider and how he had an impact on your time at Penn State?
Spider holds a very special place in my heart. I never seen Spider turn his face. He always came to work with a smile on his face, and he did it with such grace and gratitude. And you see, if you don't know Spider, Spider has a ailment within his body, but you would just never know. He was always present, always happy, always here to talk, always respectful. And, Spider, as I mentioned, Spider holds a very special place in my heart. Great guy. I wish I could see him, sometime soon.
So, Jordan, you appeared, and we were talking about this earlier, Saving the Roar, the film that came out in the last couple of years, details the triumph of the 2012 season. And you were talking about that experience. What emotions did you go through reflecting on that experience, especially thinking about who you went through that experience with, and kind of the adversity that you and that group overcame?
Yeah, so I remember doing a documentary, and we was just doing, the phase 1, phase 2 of just production, and just speaking about everything that that 2012 team been through. But it goes, beyond that. It starts from 2011. It starts from the firing and then the passing of our leader, a guy that we all love. Then we get a new head coach. Then we have a great spring ball, you thinking we're going to have this great team because we're getting all these guys. The next thing you know, we get hit with sanctions, and some of those guys that, end up leaving would have played a pivotal part. But, watching the documentary for the first time, I definitely teared up as far as just self-reflection, everything that, we've been through. It's very touching. There was a lot. I don't think a lot of people understand, just how special and how, the bond that we have just as a class, and, the people that stayed. That 2012 team, man, it's special. It really is. Even with Coach Bill O'Brien, he never asked for that, and I don't think people realize that. He didn't. He a first year head coach. He didn't understand. He was still trying to find the ropes of just Penn State and figuring out recruiting. Because if we know B.O.B., he doesn't like recruiting. That's just not him. That's probably a big reason why he did end up going back to the NFL. But to be hit with sanctions, right before training camp, and then to have people that you're dearly close with, just kind of, leave the program, after we, been battle tested and we went through the trenches, went to war together. And then the guys who stayed, the Martys, the Jordan Hills, the Matt McGlohans. And I want to throw some other names out there, not just the 2012 class, but the Bill Beltons, the Allen Robertsons, the Adrian Amoses, who all could have left because they were underclassmen at the time. Whenever I see those guys, whenever I see anyone from that team in general, it's weird, but we just kind of it's a different feeling. It's like waking up at 4 years old and it's Christmas Day. And, it really is. Every time I see Marty, we just smile, and it's no longer a handshake. It's always a hug, and it's not a hug for a second. It's about 10 seconds. And that's just how it is with us.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about the 2013 game against Michigan, that overtime thriller. The three guys you just named played a big role in that victory over Michigan that night. If those guys decide to transfer, we don't have that special moment in Beaver Stadium that night.
And one of those guys, Adrian Amos, who I'm still very close with, we shared the hotel rooms together before game day. He was in the defensive back room, of course, so we spent a lot of time together. But I remember, when those sanctions first dropped, and once we kind of gathered our thoughts as individuals, not as a team yet. I remember Allen Robinson, coming to my locker and, asking what he should do. And at that time, it was a free agency for all of us. There was a lot of people knocking on the door physically. There was a lot of people calling us. It was a lot of people it was a weird time. But I remember him asking, what he should do. At that point in time, he had Michigan State that he was thinking about going back home. And I just kind of just told him, I was like, dude, we all, we support your decision, but the best place for you, is to stick it out and, become legendary here and become legendary in your own rights. And granted, I didn't really know what to say at that point in time. I just wanted to kind of keep the team together because it had just happened. But he's one of those guys who, who stuck it out with us, and a lot of other guys as well. So, I'm not sure if my conversation with him helped by any chance, but, I'm just thrilled that he did stick it out so we can have that moment against Michigan.
Steph, before we came on air, you shared some breaking news. I'm not sure if that's ready for the public yet or not, but I'll put you on the spot. You shared some news about Saving the Roar.
Yes, so I'm actually going to read this from my notes. So Michael Nash, who's the producer of Saving the Roar, he texted me at 5:25 p.m. today, and he says Saving the Roar will have its television world premiere on January 28th, 2023. And the film was purchased by Warner Brothers Discovery. So we are officially announcing it today on this show. So January 28th, 2023, Saving the Roar will premiere for everyone.
John, that might be the first time we've gotten the scoop on something here on Football Letter Live.
Well, it's a scoop worth having, and it's obviously just thrilled for you, Steph, and the team and everyone involved with that. And so certainly good things to come. I mean, being picked up by Warner Brothers, that's a pretty big deal. And so congratulations, Steph. We appreciate
it. Is. And I wish all can, when the chance comes, definitely go watch it, go see it, whatever platform it's going to be on, of course. But it gave us a chance to tell our story. And I think, you read the free report and you read all those other things and these HBO documentaries or whatever the case, that's not our truth. And this is us, being very transparent and coming in front of camera, talking to, the entire Penn State community about, our truth. So if you get a chance or once it come out, definitely see it. It's worth watching. Make sure you have some tissue beside you because you're going to need it.
Steph, I was at the premiere here at State College at the State Theater. Not a dry eye in the building. It's received great critical acclaim. A lot of emotion in the State Theater that night. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of emotion when we honor the 2012 team here this weekend. What does it mean to you that the Penn State community holds that 2012 team in such high regard?
It means a lot. I remember my senior day against Wisconsin and the 2012, banner was revealed. And for that moment, I forgot that it was my last game as a Penn Stater, because it was different because it wasn't, us going on the banner for being, Big Ten champions. It was something different. It was the fact that, we somewhat saved the program. We stayed the course. For me, it was about, honoring my commitment to, Coach Paterno, about me being, at Penn State for 4 to 5 years, about me getting my degree. And I think that meant what it meant to a lot of guys who did stay, the fact that we did get to honor our commitment and we did everything with success, with honor. But just, seeing that game against Wisconsin, man, I shared a tear for sure. That's a moment that I'll never forget. The fact that they are, honoring us 10 years later. Wow, 10 years. I'm just very grateful, and I want to be in the moment for sure. So I'm very grateful that the fact that we haven't been forgotten amongst just the entire Penn State community. And, I just want to, tell everyone, thank you for sticking with us, through, trying times. We definitely couldn't have done any of this, without your support.
Steph, you mentioned Bill O'Brien a little bit earlier. The transition going from Joe Paterno to Bill O'Brien, what was that transition like? And, on a personal level, what did it mean to get to know Bill O'Brien a little bit and the impact that he had on you and that team?
B.O.B. was different. Very different. Nothing against Joe, but I think we all know that at that point in time, the game, if you watch our games, it was past us. Offense wasn't as modern as it was back in, 2012, of course. We became a little predictable, with the way we just called plays in general, the way we lined up, the way we recruited. I remember B.O.B. first getting announced as the new head coach at Penn State. And, I immediately texted my dad, and it was like, this is what we need. I remember, being in a group message with, just some of the guys on the team in general. And we was just all so thrilled because, we getting someone who just coached Tom Brady, someone that's getting, preparing for the AFC Championship game. So that meant a lot to us because, we knew, once we went against the Ohio State or Wisconsin the year before, that we did need change. And not necessarily as the head coach the way that it happened, but a lot was going to have to change in order for us to compete. So the way we went out against Wisconsin, the way we went out against Houston, we were, just beyond thrilled the fact that we was going to get someone that come from the NFL ranks that's going, teach us a lot about football. So, but B.O.B., he's very different. He's very transparent. He's a no BS type of person. But I think that's why, myself personally, is why I love him. He took the time once he, took the job fully after, super championship game. He spoke to every individual separately, and, wanted to just, know about our hobbies, wanted to know, how he can help us better as, human beings off the field. He even, took the time to, review film primarily with me and what he can see my role being with the team. He compared, my game to certain NFL players, which is very, good to hear at a young age. But I love Coach O'Brien. He's by far probably my favorite coach. And, and I have a great amount of love for Coach Paterno and Larry Johnson. But Bill O'Brien, he came in and he just taught us so much about, just the current game and the X's and O's and how to watch film, how to break down film. And it was just very refreshing. And then sometimes, and I'm going to be completely transparent. I always, I ask some of the guys, that I play with, the Jordan Hills of the world, the Gerald Hodges, man, what if we'd have had Bill O'Brien for 4 years or 3 years or 2 years? I don't think people realize just how good of a coach he is. And he's constant, and he showed it, even at the NFL ranks. I think he always went to the playoffs maybe for 1 year, but he's just a great guy just to be around. As I mentioned, I want to be around someone that's, no BS. He's going to cut it to me straight. I don't think you get that in college football. You don't get that in life sometimes, but yeah, sometimes, my mind does wonder, what if I could have had, Bill O'Brien, for 2 or 3 years, in my Penn State career. I think it would have been, I think we would have won a Big Ten or even, had a chance to compete for national championship. I completely think so.
So, Steph, Saturday night, under the lights, Penn State hosts Minnesota for homecoming. It's also the whiteout. What do you remember about it, what it was like playing in that environment?
Yep. So I remember my first game. I think you guys showed the clip earlier on this show against Iowa. That was my very first whiteout game. And I remember just riding that bus and just seeing this plethora of just white everywhere and going through the crowds and feeling like I done already played a game before the game because my emotion was just so high. It's nothing like it. And I can truly say that it's nothing like the whiteout game. But I just remember, running out the tunnel and first person that, I wanted to just see, because at the moment it was a lot for me. I think it was a little too big at the moment. But the first person I wanted to see was my dad, and I found him. And he always does this thing with me before every game just to calm me back down. And it was just take 3 deep breaths. And after that, man, we did pretty well against Iowa. I think they ended up blocking the punt, ended up winning the game. But that was my very first whiteout experience as a player. But the year before, when I was being recruited, I took my official visit for the whiteout game. It was against Illinois. And I remember seeing, Derek Williams, Evan Royster, Deion Butler, and a lot of other guys, AJ Wallace's of the world, win that game, and just being in witness in the stands. That sealed the deal for me completely, as far as me wanting to be a Penn Stater and really coming.
So, Steph, we're talking about success with honor, the full student athlete experience. I mean, certainly you embodied that when you were at Penn State as a student athlete, earned your degree in telecommunications and media industries. You volunteered at Thon. volunteered for Special Olympics. What was it that motivated you to get so involved at Penn State beyond the football field?
I think it was the impact that Coach Paterno just had on me in general. It was, and that's why, I think him and Bill O'Brien was just different. B.O.B. was football, and Coach Paterno was definitely, school and, making people, feel good about themselves, doing the right things. So just the way he treated us, the way he, all the accomplishments he had outside of football, sometimes walking to the library and, just seeing his name on there and everything he has donated, that's success with honor with me. And I just wanted to, as I mentioned, when I shook his hands, when I committed, I just want to fulfill everything that I mentioned I was going to do, in that letter of intent, that contract that, we have to sign. And I think I did that. But it was the small things. It always goes back to the small things. Being present, sitting in front of class, being present in class, being shaved, wearing suits, being 10 minutes early for, whether it's meetings or it's class. But man, it still hurts talking about, Coach Paterno, because I just don't think that, we did everything possible. And I'm talking about the entire Penn State community, including myself. I don't think we did everything to really, save his name. It's not even about the statue. But, every chance I get, and I live in Atlanta now, so I'm smack down in SEC country, right by UJ, an hour away. Every chance I get to, speak positive about, the impact that Coach Paterno had on my career, I make sure, I definitely do so. And you'll be surprised. There's a lot of, people who, still turn a nose up, to everything that, we've been through. But it's a lot of other good people too who look past it and, just realize the impact that Coach Paterno had, not just for college football, but, for the young men that he coached from, the 50s until, his last time at Penn State.
Steph, you've brought up success with honor a number of times. Bring people up to date with what you're doing now professionally.
Yeah, so I've been in Atlanta for 6.5 years, going on 7 in January. I've been working at Cigna as an account manager, primarily for the National Football League. That's my biggest account. And I do a ton of work with, just behavioral health. So that's currently what I'm doing. I'm also, training, youth kids, whether that's elementary, middle school, or high school. And sometimes I may get a few college and NFL guys stop by. But I'm training them defensive back work primarily, but it's beyond that. It's also, just showing them, how successful you can be once you put in the work, and, why you should find different passions and, outside of football. So it's a mentorship program as well, where hopefully I'm doing my part, but I like to bring in other people as well, whether that's police officers, lawyers, ex-professionals who's probably doing something else now. I like to bring them on and talk to the kids just about, life after football, because I don't think that get talked about a lot. But that's what I'm doing now. I'm working as Cigna account manager. Main account is the NFL, primarily with behavioral health, and also, mentoring and training, kids that have dreams, hopefully, to be at Penn State.
Steph, this was such a joy tonight to spend some time with you. We appreciate you spending time with us, opening up with us, kind of sharing your thoughts. We know it's, it's not always the easiest thing to do. So we appreciate your candor, and you talk about success with honor. You're the perfect embodiment of that. Penn State football is what it is today in a lot of ways because of what you and your class did in 2012. And, we pass along our sincere thanks now and forever. And so thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Steph. Take care.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could have gone another 20, 30 minutes with Steph, but yeah, we only have 60 minutes of airtime that we've paid for, John.
Yeah, I just had to catch my breath here for a second. Yeah, hey, well, you know what the great thing is? We'll be back next week. We'll be back next season. Randy Seeley, 2-time guest. I think I can say Steph Morris, future 2-time guest on Football Letter Live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have to get, I've said this before, but maybe we get position groups on Football Letter Live. Maybe we get, corners from different generations and have them come back and just sit back and watch them jaw.
All right, we're good. We're good. Got a little ahead of ourselves with the alma mater. We'll take that out.
Yeah.
Well, this is why Vince Lungaro is the producer, because he knows you wait to bring up the alma mater.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, John, another big weekend of Penn State football. Last weekend was a game where our chapters really rolled out the blue carpet for Penn Staters in their area. Penn Staters who can't make it back to Happy Valley for homecoming always have a home with our affiliate groups and the game watches. We have some great pictures from chapter watch parties from our events down in out in Michigan. But yeah, shout out to Northern New Jersey, to Jacksonville, and to our Orange County group for sending us pictures in and how they support the team at their game watches.
Yeah, so this was right there's Mike Gesicki with a couple chapter members of Northern New Jersey. Special shout out to Jamie Culinary for sending these photos in. That's Jamie's car. She calls it the Penn State Mobile. The first one was a photo of their chapter watch party. Here we've also got photos from Jacksonville and from Orange County. These are from Jacksonville. Really active chapter, post a lot to LinkedIn. I know that they gave back during some recent hard times in their state to the folks that they live with and share time with down there. So yeah, you can go to alumni.psu.edu/groups. We'll throw that link in the chat. You can connect with folks. We're fortunate to have Beaver Stadium packed every weekend. We have watch parties packed across the country and really across the world. And so shout out to everyone submitting their photos. Feel free to share your photos. You can throw them in the chat area of the show that you're seeing here. You can also email them to us. You can reply to our social media posts, because we're going to have some things up on site this weekend asking you to share your game watch photos. And so we know Penn Staters will be packing Beaver Stadium Saturday night. We also know Penn Staters will be connecting with one another across the country this weekend, Saturday night, 7:30. This is Judy Wolf from the Orange County chapter, who we heard from her last week. We heard from her again this week, and we are running your photos again, Judy. And so if you send us your photos, we will get them on the air. But yeah, of course, just really fortunate to have the alumni network that we have.
Absolutely. Hey, next week, another great show lined up. We feature letterman Aeneas Hawkins. I see Aeneas all the time. He's now become a star on the obligatory Penn State pregame show. If you haven't seen that, check those guys out. We're going to have a panel discussion with Collegian alumni covering the team, led by Collegian AIG president Jordan Hyman. Jordan, another return guest on Football Letter Live. So we're bringing out all the greatest hits next week.
Yeah, next week's going to be fun. You're going to hear some really fun stories about what it's like to cover Penn State, and especially from the perspective of a student. That's going to be really fun. And we've had Jordan on before. He's shared some great stories. Maybe we'll pop Vince into the episode. Vince also covered the team as the Collegian and, of course, contributes to the Football Letter. Yeah, next week's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also be talking about our good times at homecoming this weekend. We'll have lots of videos and photos. Again, you can connect with us tomorrow. All that information is in the chat that we're going to share also on our social media channels. So a couple big days coming up ahead of us. We've also got our volunteer awards live stream happening next weekend. And again, the Together We Are event, really encouraging Penn Staters to participate and get involved with that and share it with your networks. Again, that information is available in the chat here, and we'll be sharing it really in the next couple of days all over our social media channels.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for your support and all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State.